This method that I'm using is something that I've adopted from watching some of these guys weather airplanes. The way they do the panels in the airplanes. You know, airplanes aren't just one solid sheet of aluminum or titanium or whatever that's been punched out to the right shape. They're made up of smaller panels. Some of them are curved and some of them are relatively flat. But each panel then can be handled individually with paint to quite an amazing effect when it's all done. It's subtle, but it's still, you see it, and you recognize it as individual panels of material, of sheet metal of some kind. And so I thought I would try that method on these coaches and, you know, see what that was like. And here you go. I have quite a stack of them here to do. For all of you that follow the channel, I am working at my new desk today, and I really love it. It was a great investment of time and money. So I'm weathering the roofs, and I want to keep it relatively subtle, but I want to give the impression that these are old and you know, neglected, not too badly, but I mean, they're not ready for the scrap heap yet, but you know, they've been around quite a while, and even though the coach sides are being washed and, you know, and they look pretty reasonable, the roofs haven't been touched for a long time, and they're, you know, they're looking a little rough, but that's okay. I mean, they're roof. It's a roof. So how did I do this? The question was, how did I achieve this look? That's what I'm going to show you. If you're not subscribed, how about subscribing? Just click the Farland Howe icon down there in the bottom right corner. It will allow you to click on subscribe. And how about giving me a thumbs up if you like the video? I appreciate it. Thank you. Today I'm using my gallery. It's a GHAD 39. Same one as I had before. It comes with two different needles and nozzles, and I'm using the fine one today. I'm using the 0.35 millimeter. I taped up the sides of this, just not so much for this operation, but for the next one, when I blend the top, I don't want to get, come on. Oh, I hate those dovetail couplings, man, they're such junk. Whoever came up with that anyway, that guy should be fired. The trick here is you need a fine needle. I mean, you can do it with any airbrush, but the finer needle, it works pretty handy. I'm going to start out with buff. That's a Tamiya XF57. And I've got my pressure set really low today. This process seems to work best when the pressure in the airbrush is very low. I've found that something in the range of 5 to 10 psi works well for this technique. This is the regulator valve. It allows you to set a pressure in the line and your brush that is lower than the tank air pressure. In this case, my tank air pressure is about 100 psi, but I can lower this down to 5 or 10 psi with the pressure regulator. If I turn it this way, it goes up. If I turn it the other way, it goes down. That's about where I want it. Sometimes you may have to relieve a little pressure when you want to take it down. most of these have a lock. You push it down and it locks the dial. And then to get it to, it's going to take both hands. To get it to come back, then you pull it out. Normally you should probably leave it in the locked position once you get it set. Always check the manual for your own compressor before you make any changes or before you adjust it. Another thing when doing this particular technique is you may find that setting the needle movement limit is handy. And in this particular brush, and different brushes are undoubtedly different, but in this one, if it's screwed all the way in, that prevents any paint at all from coming out. You can still get pressure when you push down on the trigger, but there's no paint. The more you open it up, the more paint you can get. And for this, we would want to set it just so it makes a very fine little line. When you're painting these panels, you can use a motion like this along the top. But you want to be sure that each panel is random and unlike the ones next to it or any other one on the top of the coach, for that matter. As you start to paint each panel, it may be easiest for you, it is for me, if I start the paint on the tape, and then I can make sure I've got the paint coming out the way I want it before I move over onto the model. going to move on to the next phase here, and that is the blending process. To achieve the roof color that I am using here, I've used a combination of German gray, XF63, flat black, XF1, and some red brown, XF90. Mostly it's German gray. A few drops of flat black and a few more of the red brown. And you can play with the amounts of paint until you get what you want. And you can see here where I have adjusted the color a little at a time until I got the color that I wanted, which turns out to be this one. Color is very subjective though. It depends on the light, it depends on the angle, it depends on the substrate or whatever the paint is sitting on. All these things affect the way paint is. Whether it's in shadow, whether it's in light, how much shadow, how much light. It's a very ethereal thing. I think that's just about right, or a little too dark, one or the other. Now for the blending. Okay, well, let's let that sit for a while and see what we think. So I'll come back in a little while. I'll let it sit for 10 minutes or so, and then we'll look at it again. It's been a couple of minutes now. Let's go look at it compared to the other ones that I did earlier. Okay, here is the one we just did. And here is another one that I did earlier. And here is the first one I did. But I would say that we're in the same family. Looking pretty good. Old coaches with the old roofs. Of course, the final step is to dull coat all of them, and I will do that when I'm done. I will shoot them all with dull coat so that the paint that I put on, the pretty thin paint that I put on, can't be rubbed off by accident.